Okay, bear with me. Okay.
Okay, welcome everybody to March's People Policy Development Committee. First item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Jan Curtis.
Great, thanks Alison. And then second item on the agenda is disclosures of personal prejudicial interests. Hannah?
Hi, can I just declare that I'm an employee of SCVS?
Great, thank you. I can't see anybody else. Third item on the agenda is the minutes from the last meeting. Everybody okay with those, and somebody happy to move them?
I'll move, Chairman, if there's no other comments.
Great, thanks Paxton. Someone second that?
Happy to chair then. Second, Chair.
Okay, thanks Steve. Okay, we're on to the fourth item on the agenda, which is the employability programme update. So I can see, before I do that though, I can see Elliot's with us. I know I saw a couple of people came on late. Matthew came on a little bit late and Hannah came on after I was speaking. Just to remind you guys, if you didn't hear me, we're in the pre-election period. So if you can, so we're having sort of a streamlined meeting today because we've got to be careful about not wading into sort of political territory. So I think Alison has spoken to officers about that. So just be, if you're going to make comments or questions, just bear that in mind. Okay, good. Elliot, do you want to come in?
Hi everyone. Yes, thanks. Just to give you a quick sort of verbal update really on the position with employability projects currently. Just some of the key points really. We are seeing across sort of the I think at the previous meeting we sort of said that referrals, we were sort of struggling to see referrals coming through from our various employability projects, workplace communities work and the like. But we are starting to see quite an upturn now in referrals coming through from people with barriers to employment. So we are responding to that and putting some support in place through the current round of projects then to support people. So this is a positive move. We'll be able to report a bit more on how that's fared in the next few months, I guess. A couple of other updates really. I think we touched upon at the last meeting as well. The Community Renewal Fund, UK Government Community Renewal Fund, we secured 700k's worth of funding through CRF, Community Renewal Fund, to pilot the Pathways to Work project, which includes, it's a local project working on the Swansea footprint, and includes partners such as Barnardo's, YMCA, SCVS, Techno Camps, Gower College, and part of our employability delivery teams as well, and that's aimed at sort of piloting a new way of working. So as I mentioned previously, we've got a number of projects all targeting sort of different cohorts of people and can provide XYZ support. Some projects can provide some support, some others can't provide other types of support, such as paid placements and that. So it serves as a pilot to sort of streamline things, simplify things, and try to get various partners and support to provide the right support at the right time needed that's needed by the individual. So we're very much in the first couple of months of piloting that project. So it's probably too early to sort of say how that's operating. Everything's looking positive at the moment. We've only had a small number of referrals through to that project at this point. So what I'd recommend is that I give perhaps more of a fuller report, perhaps towards the summer, to give you a little bit more of an evaluation as to how that's working. Because that project is due to wrap up in June, although we've had some indication from UK government they may look to offer an extension to some of the CRF projects. So we'll work through that and we can give you a bit more detail as to how that's worked, how that's operated in a couple of months' time. Also, I think at the last meeting we touched upon the Council's Economic Recovery Fund, that we were looking to put an application together, building on the success of the Kickstart project that we ran throughout 2021. Again, that was DWP funded, but that is coming to an end in March. We were looking to pitch for funding to to support various paid work placements throughout the council as a successor to the Kickstart project that doesn't have quite some of the constraints associated with the DWP funding. And that now has been approved, and we're looking to start that in April, May as the Kickstart project tapers out. So again, we'll have a bit more detail on how that's faring in a couple of months' time, so we can build that into a report for you as well. The final sort of point just to mention as well is I've talked about the Community Renewal Fund, which was the UK government funding to pilot projects as a precursor to the Shared Prosperity Fund. The Shared Prosperity Fund is very much seen as an opportunity really for us to explore some of future employability provision and how things, currently a lot of our projects are supported by European funds, which will taper out in the next sort of 18 months. So Shared Prosperity Fund provides that opportunity really for us to look at what we need to fund and what kind of projects we want to develop under that funding programme. So the pre-launch guidance was published in February to give us an indication of the type of thing that it can support. So some informal discussions will be going on with partners, and again, the pathways to a pilot will also help shape and inform what a bid to SPF could look like. But the devil is very much in the detail. We don't have the full prospectus published as yet from the UK government. That's likely to come out later in the spring. So at that point, again, we'll know a little bit more as to what we can do and what we can develop that will be supported by the SPF UK government funding. So yeah, there's a few things on the go, but we should have a bit more we can update you on in a few months' time.
Great, thanks, Elliot. Anyone want to come in at that point? No, there's a couple of things I was going to say, but I think I won't say them now. I was just thinking about the connotations of the end of European funding. I won't say that, so that's fine. Elliot, thanks very much for all your support. We're in that strange period of time now where this is the last meeting before we go to election. So we don't really know what the PDCs will be constituted like, if they exist even. Depend on results of the election, so we don't know. But I'm fairly sure that there'll be whatever the constitution will look like, what committees look like, and who the chair is. I'm sure there'll be an appetite to bring you back to outline where we are, what is really, really important pieces of work that you work on there. So thanks very much for all the support and all the work you've done throughout the since last April with us. Really appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you, and thanks for your support as well. Cheers.
Yeah, all the best. Okay, item 5 on the agenda is Swansea Council volunteering strategy. I think Igny's here. Oh, Anthony, sorry. Do you want to come in?
Good afternoon, all. Anthony from the Tackling Poverty Service. I'm just going to I've prepared a brief update on the development process of a Swansea Council volunteering strategy, which is all about how within council departments and services we host or can develop hosting opportunities for volunteers. So the latest development is that a working group of officers from across the council representing different services and departments has been established, and it's the working group. The working group will meet regularly, facilitated by our team in the Tackling Poverty Service, to go through a co-production process for developing the strategy. So the update here is that the first meeting of the working group will take place later this month. So that's good news that that's established. The working group is initially being seen as a task and finish group to work through that process of developing the strategy. And as I say, members include staff from services across different departments and services that are either already involved in hosting volunteers and have been doing so for some time, or are interested in developing volunteering opportunities within their services in the future. We're also working very closely with SCVS and Western Bay partners to ensure that the development of the Swansea Council volunteering strategy aligns with the developing regional volunteering strategy with other key partners. So the working group will actually establish the process and co-production of the strategy that will involve all the stakeholders from the outset. So it's not about us establishing what that process is. It's about everyone being on the journey, all key stakeholders being involved in the journey, and about utilising the contacts that the service has with existing volunteers or people who might be interested in becoming volunteers, actually being part of that process and informing the development of the strategy. It's also expected that a toolkit will be established alongside the development of the strategy document itself. So the toolkit would have resources that would then be available to services across the council, which would support a consistency of approach to hosting volunteering opportunities, regardless of what department or service the volunteer is placed in.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony. Anybody, Leslie?
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. You mentioned co-production. Who would be involved in that then? I mean, is it just the officers, or are you involving volunteers and so on and so forth?
Yeah, exactly, Leslie. That's the point of co-production. It's obviously services who are already engaging in hosting volunteering opportunities, and services linked in it are key stakeholders. They have a lot of expertise to bring to the table there, but also one of the asks that we will be, or one of the early things that we'll be looking at in the working group, is how existing volunteers within the authority, and perhaps people who might be interested in volunteering with the local authority but aren't currently, how they can be brought into that process. So building on the connections and relationships that we already have with residents in Swansea to be involved in that process and shape it from the outset. That's the aspiration. So the strategy works for everyone. Not, you know, it's about the volunteering and the quality and consistency of the opportunities that we can host.
That sounds really good. Thanks.
Anybody else want to ask a question or make a comment to Anthony? I was just going to ask Anthony, in terms of that regional volunteering strategy, what's the timescale for the production of that? And that is our strategy tied into that then in terms of timescales too?
I couldn't speak to the exact timescale of that, I'm afraid, Chair. But yes, I mean, the Swansea Council volunteering strategy development is part of that regional work. It's really important that it links with that regional strategy, and us as an organisation having that strategy is actually part of the wider regional work, you know, developing that regional strategy. So unfortunately, I can't talk about timescales. I'm unsure about that, but yes, it is absolutely, you know, intrinsically linked with that work.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks, Anthony. As I mentioned to earlier, we are, obviously this is the last meeting now before the election, so I'm sure though that whatever the committees are constituted like and wherever the chairs are going forward, I'm sure this piece of work will feed into one of those, because I think it's again a really important piece of work, and it'd be really nice to be at the end of it as well and see the product at the end of it, as it were, and what it looks like. So just take this opportunity to thank you and to thank Amy as well, and everyone else who's been involved in supporting the committee and developing this important piece of work. So thanks very much, and hopefully we'll see you in May or June.
Thank you, and thank you for your support as well.
Good, thank you, Anthony. Okay, item 6 then is an update of the Young Carer strategy. I think Gavin's with us.
I am indeed. Afternoon all.
You okay?
Yeah, good, thank you. Is there anyone new in the group? Do I need to introduce myself?
I don't think there's anybody new in. No.
Cool. Okay, good stuff. So a brief update from me today, just about some of the ongoing work with young carers, and two pieces of really positive news as well. So you may recall from the last time we caught up, obviously we've been working with the Young Carers Steering Group to co-produce a kind of a longer term action plan, as they would prefer to call it, strategy piece of work. But in the meantime, obviously, we had some concerns about some of the funding for the support workers for that steering group. So we had positive news on that front from what is now our regional investment fund, that was confirmed for a further year. So that was really positive news, that support for the steering group is going to continue. And that obviously a critical element of us co-producing that work with them. And you may also recall that what they'd asked to prioritise both last month and this month was a piece of work that they wanted to do around Young Carers Action Day. They felt after the last 2 years, that it would be really important for them to put on a big event where young carers and their families and the different professionals working with them could come together. So they have spent the last couple of months working on that, and that event went ahead last Wednesday. It was a really lovely evening. It was hosted here in the Brangwyn Hall, actually on Young Carers Action Day. And they wanted to obviously celebrate the amazing work that all young carers do on a daily basis. So the group themselves planned and organised everything with help from their support workers, and the theme they picked was taking action on isolation. And the young carers themselves hosted 4 stands at the event. There was one around their young carers weekly youth group, one around the trips and activities that the young carers group had been doing, one around the youth forum and the activity and the strategy work they've been doing, and one around the young carers training and awareness sessions. And in total, around 100 young people 100 people attended the event, and it went really well. So they're just pulling together now some of the comms and the pictures and stuff. So you may see some of that in circulation, and I'm sure I could forward that on to the group as well. So yeah, two really positive pieces of news since I last saw you, and our next 2 meetings now are going to be focused on drawing together all the work we've done so far on the action plan strategy, so that we're in a position to drive that forward. So yeah, it's been a good month.
Great. That sounds great, Gavin. Okay, any comments or questions for Gavin? Les?
I thought somebody ought to say something. Sounds like a good month. Well done on the action day. Sounds brilliant, and look forward to any photos or videos or whatever being circulated. Thank you.
Fab, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This sounds like as you say, a really good month and some really positive news there. If there's no other comments or questions for Gavin, just thanks very much for all your support, Gavin. And if you could pass on our thanks to, I was going to say Hagit. It's not Hagit, is it?
Agia.
Yeah, Agia.
I will do.
Hagit's one of my friend's girlfriends. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so if you could pass that on as well, because obviously she was really supportive at the start of the work that we do. So you could pass it on, Gavin. I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you in some form in the coming months as well, to give us an update on where we are with the action plan and any events to disseminate that as well. I'm sure we'd all be interested in being involved in those. So thanks for all your help, Gavin, and best of luck with everything that you're working on. Great
stuff. Thanks for your time, everyone. Appreciate it. Take care now.
Take care. Okay, and the final item on the agenda is the work plan. So given that we're in March now in the pre-election period, then technically it's supposed to there is a work plan really now, Alison, is there? So no. So it just remains for me to say really. And is there any comments or thoughts on anything before we call the meeting to close? Now, if not, just remains me to say thank you very much for your attendance today and for your attendance the rest of the year. It's been a real pleasure working with you all. Thanks to all the officers, the legal support, to Simon, who's been with us for a long time. So Democratic Services and to Alison in particular for everything that you've done for the committee. We really appreciate it. So I suppose we might see each other at some point in the coming months. So thanks everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Ta-da.
Thanks.